Eugene want to share his expertise on getting the most out of your equipment. When I met this guy, first time I met him, he was spray painting the frame of his truck. And when I got started, the name of the game was to get older trucks, and because they was cheaper, and you didn't have to have a lot of sentimental value to it. But he was out there, he was spray painting his rims and spray painting the frame of his truck, and and that sparked the conversation naturally because now I'm curious because I wasn't doing that. I'm a
Right.
renegade. Uh, I'm a renegade. Uh,
Uh,
uh, so anyway, he said, "Well, it's a DOT blitz this week." And it made a lot of sense what he said that I never thought about or didn't even have anybody in my circle that even looked at it, taking care of your equipment that way. So I understood then that he was efficient about how he did things. So I'm gonna let him take over on this topic about efficiency is the key, which is a question. So I'm gonna let him answer that for you.
okay, appreciate that.
No
Yeah,
problem.
but yeah, I was that time like I said when we first met, I had just washed my truck, and like he said, it was that like the brake uh check week for DOT during that time, and so I got an '07 Freightliner Century, and so I washed my truck real good. I had some very high gloss black spray paint that I got from Freightliner that they
Right,
said they use on doing body work. Got it from Freightliner, and so everything under my hood that was supposed to be black,
right.
spray painted. Brake chambers all on the frame, the brake chambers, shocks, everything. That truck was looking like brand new money,
Oh
you
yeah,
know.
you was
And
taking
then,
care of it now.
and then I had white rims, so I had that high gloss white spray paint spraying the rims, so
Right.
everything looked real good. But so that brings us to the tips that I wanted to give to the owner operators, whether you're leased on to a carrier or you have your own authority. These are some things that hopefully you can probably implement if you can change your habits, your emotional habits. You can implement these things to probably help you save some money. So
Right.
one of the things I wanted to say was plan your routes. If you take your time out to plan your routes where you need to go instead of just putting in the GPS and just going, plan your routes, take your time to get there. Pretty much try to plan your route so that you get your best fuel mileage on each trip. Search for fuel discounts. Now you can sign up for fuel discounts programs on trucking apps, and one of the ones that I am familiar with is the Mudflap Inc.com.
Hold it
That
together.
yeah, mudflapinc.com is one. Now, with this company, you don't need a fuel card. All you have to do is pull up the location along your route that you want to get fuel from. The
Right.
app will give you a fuel code for that truck stop, which you give to the cashier to turn on the pump for you.
Right.
Pump your fuel, and you'll be charged the discounted price that you saw on the app. And so don't worry about going back inside to pay the cashier because you pay your bill through the app. And the app will also email you your receipt. So
Right.
this is a good one because it shows you a big area of what the fuel prices, the negotiated fuel prices are with all of their participating locations. So
Right.
you can get multiple, and this is just like a discount deal. You don't have to be obligated to anything. So there are multiple fuel accounts out there or fuel discount cards that you can take advantage of that'll help you out. You gotta probably have to do a little bit more work in terms of just really searching and going from this app to that app. But over the course of a week, you might save $200,
Mhm.
and that's a big savings over the course of a year. Another thing I wanted to say was follow your owner's manual about your maintenance schedule. If you look at your owner's manual, there's a maintenance schedule that it'll show you all the things that you should be checking on your truck. It'll say when you get to this amount of miles, check this. When you get to this amount of miles, change that. And at least if you're doing that, I think my truck had about I don't know, 700,000 miles on it. When
Right.
by the time I actually just thought to pay attention, I was doing a restart somewhere. I was bored, and I just decided to just look at that man. I'm like, dang, I ain't never done this.
He read the whole manual, y'all.
Yeah.
That's why, that's why this topic is his. I ain't saying
Yeah, yeah.
nothing. I'm listening.
Yeah, because I'm looking at all this stuff I had never done. I didn't know anything about changing the transmission fluid and stuff like that, filtered. I didn't know anything about all this type of stuff that you were supposed to change. I just thought that when you get your oil changed, they'll just let you know, hey, you might want to do this. So I just started really trying to stay on top of all those things because, hey, I have an older truck and I want to stay, keep it as long as I had.
Right.
Another thing that I've seen that a lot of guys don't do was check your tires daily and keep them inflated properly. That's a big
I,
one.
I'm guilty of that.
Yeah, so you can rotate your tires regularly in an X pattern. It helps to keep your tires to wear evenly. And so what that means is a lot of places, if you go to them and you just tell them, "Hey, I want you to rotate my tires," a
Was
lot
you
of
trying to access the screen share?
no, not on this one
Oh,
yet.
okay. Oh, okay. Okay. Because I was saying if you couldn't get it, I'll put it on display for you. Sorry.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Oh, you good. So with that X pattern, a lot of places, some shops, if you go to them and you just say, "Hey, I want you to rotate my tires," put the ones, just rotate them. What they're going to do is put the ones that's in the very rear on the front and vice versa. Just swap them out. If
Right.
you do it in the X pattern, which means the front driver set goes on the rear passenger set and vice versa. All the way front passenger drives go on the rear on the rear driver side. You swap them around like that, they have an opportunity to wear more evenly than just swapping them around. And just
Right.
try multiple ways, that you feel that's comfortable for you to do. But that's one way that when I became aware of, I said, man, that's neat because most shops, if you say, can you rotate my tire? They're just gonna do the easiest way, swap
Yep.
them back around. That's the easiest thing for them. So that's what I would recommend, the X pattern.
Right.
Okay, so this next one, you can put up that
I got it.
slide. This next one, which I feel like is a big one, is knowing what type of tire application that you need. That's big. Most people don't know, and a lot of shops aren't going to tell you what you need. Not a lot of shops are going to ask you, well, what are you doing? Are you running local? Are you running highway? Are you running regionally? You sometimes have to tell them because if you go to them and say, hey, I want how much are these tires? How much are these tires? They're gonna tell you the price and they're just gonna give it to you. Not to say that they won't um, remember to ask you what type of application you need. But in a lot of cases, they're just gonna give you what you ask for.
Right.
So knowing the difference between the tires, don't put a long haul tire on your truck if you run locally. If you run and local is considered in the city up to about 200 to 300 miles. That would be considered local because you can be home every day doing that. You don't want to put a long haul tire running short haul because you're doing constant stopping and going. You're probably on a lot of dirt roads or back roads and stuff. And so that local driving, that constant stopping and going driving would tear that tire up. Vice versa. If you're running long haul, but you see a tire that's cheap, you see some $300 steer tires, well, they may say, well, this is a local tire. You don't want to put that local tire and you finna run 1,000 miles each way.
Right.
Every, you know what I'm saying? On each of your trips. You're not gonna get good fuel mileage and you're gonna tear that tire up. So know the tire application that you need. So that means just like I said, when you go to the shop, I run long haul. I'm looking for a highway tire. And then they'll show you what tires they have, for the brands that they carry. And
Hmm.
so this is real critical because this is where you're going to save money on your fuel costs. Also, all of them have fuel efficiency. You
As
know, it,
well as
it,
wear and tear too, and what I mean by that is uh like how many times in a year you have to repair certain things.
right,
It a
right.
certain amount of dollars you spend. Let me know you ready for me to take that
You,
slide.
you you can go and take that one down.
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, but go
and
ahead. That's
so
all I was saying on that.
yeah, and that's a good one. Now, the next thing I wanted to talk about was the difference retread versus new. Now, that's a big debate in the trucking industry. A lot of guys swear, hey, I'll never haul no retread tires. I never put those on my truck. But a lot of guys, if you look at it or just really pay attention to it, the companies you're leased on to, that's all they put on their trailers. The companies you lease to, a lot of them, that's all they put on their trucks. The tires that they keep. Now, of course, when they buy the trucks, buying them brand new, they come with brand new tires.
Right.
But those companies, they're putting 9 times out of 10 retread tires back on their trucks. So the thing is knowing what is a retread? Well, a retread tire is basically a used tire, a tire that's been used, and what they're doing is just putting new rubber over that tire and regrooving it. And it's basically like a new tire, but you don't have the same price tag as a new tire. So if you decide to go and get one of these name brand tires, Yokohama, Bridgestone, Goodyear, you're probably looking about starting off at $400 probably
Just the
just for
retread or the new tire?
no, for a brand new tire.
Brand new tire. Okay.
You're probably looking at starting off at about $400 for a brand new drive tire.
Right.
But if you're doing the retread, actually getting your tires retreaded, you could probably do it for 200 and something for half the price, or up to $300 per tire. So
Right.
one of the keys in knowing if that's going to be a good fit for you is I would recommend anybody to watch some videos, YouTube videos on a retread process to know how it's done. If you have any retread facilities in your area, I would hey, go and visit one because they do tours. They allow tours of their facility so you can see the process and how they do it. Uh, so let's see. So it's good to know what grade of rubber that they use on tires. So Goodyear, I know Michelin, and you have one that's a real huge one in the country, Bandag. Those companies, they retread tires.
Right.
I've called and talked with Goodyear and Michelin. They explained the process to me. I've actually been to a Goodyear retreading facility down in Georgia, and they allowed me to watch them put, I brought in some rubber, and they allowed me to actually stand in there in their facility and watch them to retread the tire. They put
Right.
a whole new casing over that old tire and bake it in the oven, some type
Mm.
of oven, and bake that tire on there. And
Melt that
then
rub
they
on there.
right. And
Yeah.
and re but the key to that success is how good of a casing that you have. The casing is going to be a big factor in how well that tire stands up. So the rubber that is going on there, what grade of rubber that's going on there, who's actually doing the tire, like the type of process for them retreading the tire, and basically, like I said, how it's done. All those things go into play into determining how well of a tire that is. So let me see.
I
Now,
got a question while you're looking for your next thing
okay,
there.
yeah.
Um, doesn't the retread process also depend on the brand of tire you have?
In a lot of cases, yeah. Um,
Okay. Or would that be just a policy that a company would have when they retread in tires that like they call them Chinese tires around
uh,
here. The Chinese tires, they wouldn't retread those for whatever reason. I never got a
well,
real good reason why.
well, I will say this first, and I'll answer that one. Whatever tire it is that you're looking to get retreaded,
Right,
when you take it to them, they're going to look over it. They're going to examine it. They're going to tell you whether or not they can or can't retread that tire. They're just not going to go and retread a tire just because you bring it to them.
right,
So, but they'll tell you that they won't do some of those Chinese tires because of the way it's made, the type of material that it's made with.
right,
A lot of them talk about the way that the tire is made, the rubber that they have to put on there with the rubber from that foreign tire won't seat properly.
right.
the way they something about the baking process, it won't really seat properly. So they'll tell you, okay, well, we can't do this type of tire. But if you have any name brand tires, you
Right,
know, they'll take those tires. But they can also look at the tire to see how old it is,
right,
because that's a key. If it's a tire that's 6, 7 years old, 10 years old, they probably say, well, we're not gonna, you know, really do this tire.
right,
And for those who may not know, I think you can retread the same tire for about 3 times, up to 3 times. 2 to 3 times you can retread that same tire. And so one of the things you could do that I used to do, back when I didn't have a whole lot of cash, I remember taking my tires. This really works if you have some spare tires.
right,
So I had about 2 spare tires. I went to the retreading facility and said, hey, can I get these tires retreaded? They'll allow you to, first of all, like we just said, they're going to let you know if they can retread that tire or not. If they accept them to retread them, they'll let you know what type of tire tread pattern that they have to choose from that you want to do you
right,
know and so you could choose your tread pattern that they offer that you can put on there. Then they're going to tell you the time frame that, in my case, it was 2 weeks. And so what I did, because I was low on cash, I would take 2 tires, take it to the retreading facility.
right,
After 2 weeks, they came back. I let them put those two on, took the old two off, sent them off. And I kept
right,
repeating that process until about, well, I say about 2 months, I had a whole new set of tires.
right, right,
And so that's one alternative for guys instead of just prolonging it and constantly just buying tires. That's one you can continue to run with your same tires and you're getting them retreaded. And so, like I said, in about 2 months, you'll have a set. Or the other thing, if you don't want to do it that way, which I've done, I know Priest has done too, if you're going to go and just go and buy a set of tires, let's say you go and bought a set of tires, and instead of you trading those tires in that's coming off your truck for a rebate, you hold on to them. And this work good for guys. If you got somewhere to store the tires, or you got, what I'm saying, some type of facility you could store the tires.
right.
But if
Extra
you could,
trailer on your yard that maybe broke down, you could put them in. Make
right,
good spare tire.
exactly. So you can take those same tires, and when you get ready, take those tires in to get retreaded. you
Right,
know.
right,
And now
right,
when it's time for you to trade in the tires that's on your truck, you put those other retreads in, and you'll constantly
right.
have tires in rotation.
Right.
You know,
Invest in you a tire rack on the back of your truck and a tire rack
man,
under your trailer. You can tote
man,
2 spare tires with you, and it not be a problem, with you being able to secure it.
man. I'm glad you say that because it's been so many times I've been on the road, and on my truck I have uh, a tire rack, but I would put 2 tires back there,
Right,
one on the tire rack and one hooked right up against it on the
right,
catwalk. And every time that I would have some type of leak or whatever, and they say, "Well, you got to change this tire out," it don't cost me $50.
right,
That's it, as opposed to I got to buy one of their tires.
right.
Because if you do a roadside, oh, they're gonna make sure. Just give me the cheapest tire. Okay, we're gonna bring you the cheapest tire out there,
Yeah,
and the cheapest tire is probably $400.
right.
I had
And
I had a buddy.
mhm. Yeah,
The
go ahead.
cheapest tire they brought out to him was $700. So he had $1,000 roadside, just one tire change. And so just having your own tires, and as a spare, and going to change it out when you get to a shop, not costing you much money at all. What were you gonna say, Priest?
No, I was just gonna say that uh to make sure that when you using these tires, like if you got a retread tire that you use as a spare tire, don't depend on it because to last because it's going to be dependent on a lot on how you drive.
Uh huh.
So if you blow a tire out, make sure you get another new tire as a replacement, whether you put it on your equipment immediately or not. But it's always good to have those tires. See, this method that Gene is talking about is to basically help keeping you from spending money on the road in foreign places. And what I mean by foreign, where people don't know you. most of us in the areas that we stay, we got a tire guy that's gonna give us a good deal, that's gonna look out on us because we buying a whole set or what have you. But when you on the road, you're at their
Mhm.
mercy. You're at
Right.
their mercy, and it can cost you a lot of money. So make
That's true.
sure that when you having blowouts, that you replacing those blowout tires with new tires, even if you're gonna ride your retread until it blows out.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
and
that's
and
all I wanted to add in there.
right. And that was key because that was another thing I was gonna mention was, um, the retread tires are, uh, from what I've seen, it depends on a lot of factors also. Now I'm not saying buy a retread over new tires, but what I am saying that's an alternative because the retread tires can last just as long as the new tires if you're
And it's saving money.
exactly if you're someone who taking care of the tires. Like I said,
Right,
it goes back to, are you checking your tire pressure, regularly? Are you running like a bat out of hell everywhere you go? Are you
right,
running over curbs and stuff like that? If that's who you are, you have those type of habits, then yeah, just stick with newer tires. Because every guy that I would talk to that said, well, I'll never put those on my truck, I would ask them two things. How often did you check your tires? They say, well, I wasn't checking my tires like that,
right,
and what were your driving habits? Because if you have bad driving habits, those tires aren't going to last long. The reason
right.
why I'm a big proponent of them is because I've had a set of drives, a set of retreads on my truck for 200,000 miles. And I went all over the country with them. That's because of how tried to maintain the truck and everything, and how I tried to maintain my tires. I was able to keep them. And I also ran local with a set of tires for 2 years doing retreads also.
Right.
So it really depends on your driving habits and how you run. Another tip that we wanted to talk about was saving money with your fuel. Now, this is something
Hold
that's
on, see,
free.
before you go there, just let me touch
Go
on one
ahead.
thing on the tire real quick.
Yeah.
See, the reason why is a lot of guys that say that they don't use retread, which they call recap. Because if
Mm-hmm.
you don't drive on these tires right, they can cause you a lot of damage. I
Mm-hmm.
personally, because I own trailers, I would use the retreads on my trailer
Mm-hmm.
because I had guys that I couldn't pretty much dictate how they drive. And if those retread blow on your truck, they could knock airbags out. That if you got the little side fenders or whatever, it could cause a lot of damage. So these are just money saving tips that we giving you. These ain't like lifelong fixes when we talk about the tires. This is
Right.
to help save you money because we're measuring it by what you spend in a year as well as a month. So
Right. And
right,
and
so yeah, so if you
yeah,
can make a set of tires last you 3, 4 years, hey, you're doing great, but, the
right.
method Eugene is giving you is a way to get there.
Right. And like I said, we just trying to give tips that may help you guys with what's going on right now. And like
Right,
I said, with the tires, it really depends on your habits, who you are. But one of the other things I want to discuss was saving money on fuel. Outside of just going to find cheap fueling locations, how fast are you driving your trucks?
right,
Which is habit, changing a habit that a lot of people have a hard time doing. A lot of guys are driving the posted speed limit. So if you're driving the posted speed limit and I know a lot of people who have the newer trucks, their trucks are already getting 7, 8 miles to the gallon, averaging for the week.
yeah,
Well, why not get 9, possibly 10? If you slow that truck down from 70, 68, 70, 75 miles an hour to 62,
right,
65, a lot of guys don't like driving that slow all over the country, but you'll be surprised that dropping that truck from 70 miles an hour to about 62, 65, you'll probably gain an extra half a mile to the gallon. Now, you do that
right,
over the course of a week, especially over the course of a month, and see how much money. Now, you can actually pay yourself an extra 3, 5 cents a mile, probably,
right,
on your fuel savings. You can put that money elsewhere. So that's one of the things I would say because it takes more fuel. It takes more energy for that truck to push that truck down the highway at 70 miles an hour than at 62, 65. You
Right.
know, and that's free. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That just takes you changing your habit. Another thing I wanted to discuss was join a trucking association. You know, there's a lot of them out there. You have some in your states, and you have a lot of well-known trucking associations. These associations can provide benefits like group insurance rates, maintenance discounts, load boards, and financial services. You know, what's the other thing? Now, if you're running over the road, consider running regionally. So if you're got a guy that's running crisscrossing the country, maybe consider running regionally. Staying within a 500-mile radius compared to crisscrossing the country allows you to possibly buy fuel in the same locations more frequently. It also allows you to keep a more steady fuel mileage, and it also allows you to better maintain your truck and build a relationship with shops along your route.
Right. Right. Unless you're running cross country on a consistent lane.
Exactly,
Yeah.
which a lot of guys aren't really doing, you
Right.
know.
Right. But
And
look, before you move on, I just want to say one thing about the association that you didn't touch on. When
okay,
you join in these associations, do research on who these associations stand for.
right,
It makes no sense to go join an association that doesn't stand for you and they only stand for the corporate company.
exactly.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But go ahead. I just want to touch on
Yeah,
that.
that's a good one. Lower insurance. Call your insurance provider, whoever your insurance provider is right now, and ask them about discounts for safety courses. You know, mileage limits, experience, or zero claims. What's the current value of your truck compared to when you bought it? You should get a cheaper rate because now your truck is older and is no longer the same value. You know, so that's a thing because if you got had the same insurance for 5 years, but you hadn't got it reevaluated on, well, you bought the truck for 50,000, but now it's probably only worth 15,000, 20,000. So you want to get that reevaluated, and so that you can see maybe your premiums will come down every month.
Right.
Another thing I wanted to kind of speak on was I know a lot of guys who got their authority, probably especially over the pandemic. A lot of people went with Progressive insurance, and a lot of people probably felt like, well, I'm gonna go with Progressive because I got my car insurance through Progressive. I got my homeowners insurance through Progressive. I have life insurance through Progressive. So I'm gonna go ahead and get my truck insurance through Progressive because they're willing to take me. Progressive insurance is gonna be at least probably at least two times as high as
In a lot of
someone
cases.
else. Yeah, as
Yeah.
someone else. Now,
And then plus Progressive doesn't really specialize in commercial insurance for trucks. That's not their specialty. Their specialty is real estate.
right. Now, didn't you tell me in a situation that an insurance agent, independent insurance agent, can go and get you that progressive insurance cheaper than what you can get it?
Any agent can get you insurance cheaper. It's just you have to be careful, like with your agent. Like this is what I would suggest.
Yeah.
If you only got one truck, go with somebody like OOIDA. It's probably going to be your cheapest route. Please don't go get a quote from Progressive first because whoever quotes you, that's pretty much going to set the bar on what every other insurance company quotes you at.
Yeah.
So make sure you're careful about that. And if you grow past OIDA, I would suggest finding you a good insurance broker who can refer you to insurance. Because what a broker is going to do, they're going to offer you the best possible insurance based on what you ask them to do for you.
Okay.
Yeah, now the thing is with Progressive is what I've been hearing, guys on the internet. Progressive don't want to stand in and pay that money when claims come in.
Oh,
Yeah, because see, because trucking insurance is not their specialty. I don't even know why they even offer it if if they're not going to stand, when a claim comes. So I've
yeah.
been hearing about guys having issue with that with Progressive. So
Wow.
yeah.
I didn't know. Now the limit on how many trucks will OIDA allow you to have before they say they're not gonna. Was it four, five
I don't
trucks?
hell. Now before the pandemic, I don't know what they looking like now because I left them before the pandemic. Before the
Okay.
pandemic, they will penalize you. Like they would allow you to have 2 trucks, but come time renewal, they will penalize you, which is what I call it. They will increase your premium by a certain amount of percent
Okay.
because you added on additional truck. And what they told me was the reason why that is because they only at the time specialized in one truck operation. So
Hmm.
that's why it's a good start. If you got one truck, it's a good start. If you get 2 trucks in the middle of your plan before your year is up, they can't penalize you then. They can only penalize you at the renewal. So if you're going to start adding on trucks, just know when renewal come, you may need to be shopping around somewhere else before you let OI to give you a quote because
Yeah.
they quote is probably going to be pretty high. So you get with an insurance agent and you just, you let them know the situation. Hey, I'm with OIDA. I've been hearing that if I got more than one truck, that I'll probably have a penalty. So I don't want to go get a quote from them and it set the bar too high for me. So what can you find for me? That's a an insurance broker's job to do, to answer
Right.
those questions for you with tangible information.
Yeah, that's good. Um,
Yeah,
I would say the last tip that I had was to join, find social media groups that you can join to connect with other owner operators, to exchange tips and other information on being profitable. You
right.
know, still have to weed out the guys who, what I'm saying, don't really know what they're talking about. But find some good groups of, take those tips that the guys are talking about, social media platforms, YouTube or whatever, and apply that to what you're doing, and hopefully you'll learn something and just educate yourself and moving on forward.
Right. And when you're talking to these guys that are owner operators, and understand this here. Uh my terminology of an owner operator, and this is no offense to
Hmm.
nobody who own their own truck. My terminology of an owner operator is someone who has their own MCDOT number and business name. They're operating under their own business. They're booking their own loads. They got their own company. They're not attached to a bigger company.
Right.
Those are leased on carriers in most cases, and I refer to them as independent contractors, which they're both generally the same. That's just how I separate the two with the way that I try to explain it to people.
Yeah.
So, so yeah, I just wanted to say that to keep that in mind that we're when we talk about insurance, we're basically talking to the owner operator.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, on that part. When we talk about the tires, we're talking about everybody else because when you leased on with a company, chances are you're going to be getting that company's insurance at a discount rate. You're not
You are.
going to pay the full weight of it like a regular owner operator would.
Right. You don't have premiums of like a down payment to pay.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah. So it could get a little tricky. It's just that it's a science to any kind of business that you're running, but being that trucking carries so many expenses, um, it's it can get a little bit dicey. But back to the owner operator part, speak to an owner operator that's
Hmm.
been an owner operator under their own MC number for at least 5 years. Reason I say that because at that 5 year point, that that owner operator most likely has experienced everything from taxation, low rates, good rates, bad rates, equipment breakdown, being told whether he had a breakdown or he got towed out of a parking spot. He gonna be able to give you a lot of meat
Hmm.
that you need. Uh, so yeah, try to talk to a owner operator, not an independent contractor, a owner operator who's actually been operating under their own MC, not just having an MC, actually been operating under their MC number for at least 5 years. Because if you talk to anybody, below that, most likely they're not going to include quarterly taxes in their conversation.
Right.
because a lot of guys when they first get in it, they don't even understand that they have to pay their taxes like that because they're coming out of a company truck or as a lease owner operator, somebody been handling that process for them.
Mm-hmm.
And when you see that you done gross $250,000 in a year or better, it's kind of hard to understand that you got to pay about 70 grand of that back in tax.
Yeah.
You know, so just keep that in mind as well. Yeah, but that's all I want to interject on.
Oh yeah, so yeah, I was done with my tips and everything.
Right.
Hopefully everybody take them, take them to heart, and hopefully if you can find a way to apply it to what you're doing, hopefully it helps you in some way.
Yeah. See, these tips only work if you put them to work.
You put them to work.
Yeah, you have to put them to work. Running a truck, even on your off days, you still work because you
Hmm.
have equipment to take care of. So you just have to keep that
Yeah,
in mind.
and what do you have to lose? If what you've
You got a
already
lot to
been doing,
lose if you
well,
don't do it right.
well, that's true.
Yeah.
But if you've been complaining, and you've been trying to find a way and
Right.
wondering what is, these a lot of these tips. If you haven't already considered these tips, if it applies to you, then cool. If it doesn't, hey, you consider these tips and just figure out, okay, how can I lower my insurance? How can I lower my fuel consumption? Either slowing my truck down and
Right.
finding me some more discounts and stuff out there, fuel discounts. Who knows how much you can probably save per month by doing some of these tips that we're suggesting.